over to you, Lukasz, for your final Prod MBA case study.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Henry, for this opportunity to reflect back on what we did in the past 8 weeks. That's a lot of time. Actually, for me, this case study was much more than just preparing the presentation, because recapping all these things together and understanding the process, which is actually presented here, for me, it was very valuable, because I understood actually how all these parts connect together. Because during these all weeks, I was very focused in different parts, but right now I had the chance to understand how it all works, as a process. So first thing we did was validating the problem and coming up with the problem, what was not so easy thing. What I understood then was that, okay, it's interesting what will be next, right? Because I came up with some idea and even a solution, it's always like that, and how we'll proceed. So that was like a big unknown for me. Then we validated it. We tried different offers. I will talk more about it later. And we even prepared the strategy, what was awesome for me. So we are not stuck only in like ideation phase and preparing the solution, but also looking at it much more from the business perspective, because me as a product owner right now, I work a lot with business and business people, business folks. So understanding that was a crucial thing. This is objective number 3. And the last objective, validating the prototype. I prepared the prototype. I have some other ideas what I can do to validate my solution. So I will also talk a little bit about that. So yeah, what I started with was the very dummy problem statement. So daily eating habits don't meet the expectation of how quality life. Remember our first session? That was the idea. What might be the problem that I solve? There are many buzzwords like don't meet some expectations, some high quality life. Right now, after these 8 weeks, what I understood is that it was like very general. This is like a common problem that right now after this course, I really notice when I work with different clients. I'm working in software house, so I work with different clients. At the very beginning, our vision is very like general, like everything. You can apply it for almost every product. So yeah, our first objective was to validate if it's really an acute problem, if it's really a problem. So I did these discovery calls. I must say that was awesome for many reasons. I will tell why. And also, I tried to validate the Facebook as an acquisition channel. As you know, it was quite a challenge for me to find groups and find people for my problem on Facebook groups. So how it worked? Actually, what I really appreciate in this first exercise was that I really talked to real users, and it was really simple. And I learned actually how easy it is to validate the problem space. How easy it is, because we had like these 4 or 5 questions instead of like 1 hour or even half of a day of some discovery talks, focus groups, and all that stuff. We just walked through the problem. We understood actually what they really think about it. And we turned it into some opportunities. What is the summary on the right-hand side, right? So this is like a really, it already changed how I work in my job right now, because we did like 2 discovery sessions, and all of them were simplified due to this exercise I did during the workshops. And I really coach other PMs to really be laser focused on what you want to achieve from these discovery calls, instead of like talking a lot about background of the user, what they did before, and all that stuff. Just jump into the questions we have and try to validate your problem. It is also very important that the process we build really focus on validate the problem, validate the offer, validate the solution, instead of like mixing everything up and doing everything at the same time. So this was great. It really helped me understand what really is the problem, instead of like saying all these buzzwords. And these are some of the quotes from my interviewees. So for example, you can see it's like a meditation, right? It's like meditation. This is something that I will never come up with if I didn't talk to users. Also, like things like bonding art, like cooking with friends or buddies, like a bonding art, like psychological comfort, and they were talking about it. These things were never in my mind where we discussed during our first call what might be the problem that I will solve, right? This is it. This is the biggest value I see from this discussion, because it's not about asking users what I should build or what the problem you'd like me to solve. Is much more about inspiration for me. Is much more about understanding all the context where they are, the background, and also you helped me really understand that there is much more about emotional aspects and social aspect in all that stuff, because we always focus on functionality, what problems it should solve and how it should be solved, instead of understanding that, okay, they want to spend some nice time with a partner. This is like a psychological comfort they want to have after work, after job. They want to relax, and they were talking about it even much more than about the solution itself. So it was really helping me understand, not only in this product, but also in other products that where I work for clients, how I should direct the discussion, how to convince them, because it's not about talking to users to ask them what we should build. It's about talking to them to understand if we understand everything we should understand in this problem space. That was great. That was really, really great. And the whole exercise was really focused, really simple. I really like that. Second objective we had was to actually understand how it resonates, the offer that we will prepare, how it resonates with our target niche. And I must say here that actually that was the missing part in my career and work, because the exploring of the problem space is always the case, but and then building some MVP, and you also insisted on not building MVP because this is already a product. You insisted on building some offer that should resonate with these users, and that was really great. Although I failed at the beginning because I didn't have this 5% of outreach sign-up conversion, but I also learned, okay, why it didn't happen. I had follow-up discussions with these 3 or 4 of them. I discussed with them why you didn't sign up for my waiting list. I also understood things like trust, why they didn't trust, how the communicate, how the message was wrong, and why it was wrong. And also I understood that maybe there are even some differences between different countries, like different societies. Like in our society, when I targeted it, it was very suspicious to not tell about what exactly it might be. So people treat it as a fake thing, fake web page. So also it helped me understand, okay, maybe I should give at least some rough idea of what they are signing up for. So yeah, I will be iterating on it much more probably. In these weeks, I hadn't enough chance to do that, but definitely there are other things that I can improve, because I also try some Facebook ads outreach campaign to check actually if people are clicking these ads and if it makes sense. So I had a very high conversion rate there, like over 4%. So for Facebook, it's quite fine. But eventually they didn't sign up for the waiting list. So there's definitely something on the page that I can improve, because the reaction for the ad that is about cooking, which is a very popular thing, it's nothing crazy fancy. They were clicking, 4% is really, really fine for me for this kind of very general offer that is not presenting any product, having this click-through rate, it's nice. Okay, so what we did here, we defined the minimum viable offer. It was very interesting because I iterated for it so many times, even before presenting this web page. And this is actually what most of the products I built missed a lot, because trying to say what's your offer is not very easy. It's easy to discuss the problem, say, okay, these are the problems, you can list it out, say this is the solution, you can present it, you can do Figma thing, but saying actually what we are offering to them is not so easy. And I already implemented it in the product I'm working on right now, because I realized, okay, we have a lot of problems, we have a lot of solutions for them, we are building everything, but we can't tell the user what is actually the offer, what we are doing here for you. And here I had the same issue, because at the end of the day, when I wanted to present it to these users and publish this page, I understood that, okay, I'm not sure if I know what I want to say there, right? So this is very, very valuable for me. Even if you don't have the conversion, you can understand for yourself what you are building, what you are telling these users. Second thing we did was the blue ocean strategy. So it was like very nice. I read the book. I read like many additional articles about it. Actually building this like one chart that is presenting for your product, for your problem, what you can do different than others is like mind-blowing for me, because it was not so easy at the beginning. I was like, yeah, maybe everything, maybe this. Doing that helped me a lot, and also it helped me discover another thing. So at another time, it was like an inspiration much more than really like saying, okay, this would be this. I discovered that there are, and we discussed it, that there are like my product is like a combination of two aspects, the social aspect and the food aspect. And here I understood it because I was researching who my competitors are, and I understood that, okay, there are like two groups and they are doing different things. And what I'm doing is like in the middle. So it also helped me understanding it. So another time is much more like inspiration in doing this exercise for itself to understand the environment, the space where we are operating in, instead of like saying, okay, if we do that, you will know what's your unfair advantage or group or space or whatever. It's not like that. Of course, it helps for me, but there are many other things you can figure out. And of course, we did this hero journey, and I really like that because it's another time like the offer. I really understood how to think as a user, as this hero, and how the journey should look like, how to convince and understand the problems and what's behind that, like end to end. So this is another time a very useful thing for me to look at things from the different perspective. And also to lead people. I already tried to implement it within my product, to talk about features, to talk about epics, to talk about what we are doing here, why it's important, how it's changing the world of the hero. And eventually, I came up with a new validated product vision, which was much more about social time, about making it enjoyable, about making the cooking experience seamless, but it's only a mean to achieve this enjoyable social time. And it's very interesting. Just like one example, we were talking about some cross-sellings, maybe selling some wines to the meals. So it was never discussed before. I never thought about it, but here we are talking about enjoyable social time, like the whole evening or something like that. It's like a completely different thing. And here, objective number 3, so building the strategy, it was like very useful to also understanding how actually it will work, how the product, how the company might operate. So here in the strategic roadmap, it was very useful to see the outcomes and discussing the outcomes instead of like cutting the epic or the initiative into smaller epics and features and all that stuff. So it really helped me. And also you advised me to like make it shorter and easier to communicate. I really enjoyed that. The second thing was the customer journey map. It also helped me understand from the user perspective, the hero perspective, and here the dates idea came up. So another time it was about the journey, but I came up with a new idea, what might be important. And I also realized that this is a 4th step here. Instead of like giving the value in the first or the second step, it was the 4th one, right? So it also had me visualize where the value is. And of course, the link canvas showed us actually, the most important thing for me was the revenue streams. We discussed it, and I really understood, okay, I shouldn't talk only about problems and solving them. I should also have an idea how the revenue will look like. This is very powerful when talking to business, I think. And the final thing was the prototype. So the prototype, we decided to do some prototypes of smoke test where I send real packages to my users, these that I talked to at the beginning. So I managed to find out 3 of them for a call for sending this package. And actually 2 of them responded very well when it comes to the product market fit score. I know this group is very small, so it's like 2 out of 3, but I will need to like work more on that. I had 3 beta testers, but it was really nice. And they also shared some thoughts. And what I understand from that was that actually they are proposing many different things. So we did like a step back, like do subscription plan, do some diets, do some maybe gluten-free program or something like that. So it shows me actually right now that I'm not like fully focused on what should I do, because they like thoughts were a little bit different than what I expected, what I wanted they to feel. This is like a lesson learned. And to sum it up, from my perspective, what I learned was the simplicity of all these tools that I use to differentiate, like one of the most important things. Always ask why, think about the emotional aspect, the psychological aspect, always think about the like first principles, why it happened, how it happened, very important thing. And yeah, look deeper into the niches problem and look deeper into the niche. Like the very first meeting that we had, the presentation that you had about the niches was like mind-blowing for me, because we always focus on like everything instead of like very small group. So yeah, that was it. I think 15 minutes, I did it.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, literally perfect time as well, which is very
Awesome.
rare. Good. Okay, so that was really, actually, honestly, really interesting to listen to, despite having teaching much of the content on this. I think it was, yeah, really, like, for example, you've got clearly a natural storytelling voice, but also like came across very charismatic. It was engaging, and just, you know, for example, at the beginning, interesting to get that context around your learnings, like the frameworks themselves. Second point for me, on the problem, I always loved this problem because I liked how quickly you shifted from the sort of the standard like surface level problem, which is like, how do I find something to eat? And then you quite quickly understood, oh, there's this like non-obvious deeper problem around, as you said, right, social meets food, like gratification, the meditation aspect. So I thought that was great to see. And, you know, that's where in a very competitive market, which is what we're in now, by the way, forever now, we have to get good at that. You know, I think people that don't have that skill are never going to build successful products. On the OKR one, yeah, good storytelling. Again, it was super engaging. I think one tip for you, if you're going to present to people that don't know this content, let's say it's, you know, you're trying to get your boss to give you budget to build this product. Do something called bridging a little bit better. So what is bridging? Rather than going to next slide, and say, okay, so first objective was ... Try to connect, to bridge your point. So for example, okay, so once we understood that this was the problem, our first objective was, how do we actually know it's a problem? And therefore, we set ourselves a few key results. We wanted to firstly speak to our customers to understand what was going on. And secondly, to see, you know, where do they actually hang out? Because if we can't find where they are, how the hell are we going to ever acquire them with the real thing? So see, just simple couple of words and connectors. And then they go, oh, okay, I understand why Lukasz is talking about this objective. I understand why he's talking about these key results. And then, you know, same thing, you transition into OKR 2, et cetera, et cetera. So do always think of bridging, because remember, just other people, firstly, they don't know these steps, and secondly, like, people just don't listen with presentation. So we need to treat them like children and just crystal clear and keep signaling like why this is important. But again, it's a different context, just a tip for future. I love, yeah, the summary of discovery learnings was great. Exact that you did a really key phrase, which is really important to use when you present these kind of concepts. You said, you know, I never would have found that out without speaking to users. Why was that so powerful? I mean, it's great for you as well, but it's the fact that you're basically selling the value of product discovery. You're showing, hey, team, stakeholders, leadership, if we didn't do this stuff, we probably would have built the wrong thing. And that's a really powerful message for them. On the MVO Blue Ocean, yeah, just awesome to hear your learnings. You showed a good depth of knowledge. Like you know, some people just read off the script or the template we get. You understood, for example, Blue Ocean, like actually what is it about? You did this in simple terms and just said, you know, okay, so that we realized that with these two groups and we found this nice gap in the middle. That is exactly what the Blue Ocean is. We don't need to use clever words, product sounding words. That is what it is. Basically, how do we find a gap in the market? On the lean canvas, yeah, excellent. You mentioned revenue stream. I think you've realized that, you know, to go from product owner to product manager and then to be respected as a product leader, that business hat is essential. To be able to speak to business people is you know, without that, again, you're never going to go beyond delivery roles. So I thought that was great to see, and it's just something to keep, you know, building upon, keep reading around, learning. And finally, on the prototype, you know, 3 testers is a lot. With the first prototype, you get, I'm sure you found, even the first test, you get so much insight that's really valuable. Obviously, it's great to have more people, but don't stress about that. Sometimes we get a pretty good sense of where we're right or wrong just from 1 or 2 tests. And what I liked about the feedback was the things to improve were small things. These are like small customizations. And the feedback itself on what was good was around the core concept. So for me, I got the sense that the core concept, absolutely valuable. And now it's just about, firstly, not getting distracted by trying to do every customization possible. But, you know, these are not the core things. So it felt like, you know, that's pretty good feedback, I think. It sounds like you've got a really good foundation there. And then just zooming out, Lukasz, the last few minutes. So what are you, before I give my sort of feedback on the 8 weeks, like, what do you feel the next steps are for you? So, you know, going from sort of delivery PO at the moment, like where do you know, what's the next step, do you feel like, after that, you know, in terms of skills, things you want to be doing now as a product person?
To be honest, I have like 2 areas that I found in Prod MBA that I need like more time, more knowledge, more books or things to explore. So the first one is actually validating the offer. So this step in between that I really think like companies I work with can benefit from if I can propose them, okay, how to validate this offer, because I failed. So they failed too probably many times. So they are building the MVP instead of validating the offer. So I want to explore that so that I would be like crystal clear what they should do. And the second part is the
just on that before we go into this, I think a really good action point, in fact, is obviously try to sell that as part of the packages. But if not, try just, you know, try and just, because it doesn't take long to do, just try and get some validation, even if it's like on your own time, building something on softer, because it's going to be really valuable, both for your CV, but also just for your learnings to go and do some of that discovery work. So I would say try and sell it as part of a package. If not, just try and just do something just to get some nice learnings and successes. Sorry, your second point.
Yeah, and the second point is actually from the Lean Canvas, and this like cost structure, revenue structure, how to actually earn on this solution, and having like a crystal clear, like, you know, like someone asks you from the business and you have like some ideas that you can present, like you really understand how to build products, not how to deliver user stories in Jira, but how to build the product. So the discussion and set the stage that you are here to build the product, the revenue, and manage the cost, not only to manage the delivery team. So that's very important for me. So I would like to explore this area much more.
Awesome. Yeah, ties quite closely with what I have for observations from the 8 weeks. I think things that I thought you did very well. I think you've got a really good foundation, you know, and today was really supported that. You've clearly understood and put the work in to you know what is product discovery really, what is product strategy really, prototyping. So I think that was great to see, really good foundation. I think second thing is that you're over the, you know, particularly second half, definitely seeing you more confident as a person, but also with the learnings. So, you know, again, a great example, the fact you're coaching people on discovery calls already, and the way you're talking about it shows me that you get it, right? You understand what are we actually trying to do without trying to cover it over with using like clever language or product terms. You understood it, you explained it extremely clearly to me in your own words. I thought it was great to see. I love the one comment you made earlier about the MBO being a failure. and seeing you actually quite energized by going, oh, it's just a learning life. I'm learning and I'm going to improve next. That seems like a simple thing. Like I talk about this in the video. Not many people do that. And it's really powerful because where most people are going to get unmotivated, right, fear of failure, worried about their ego, they're just going to give up early. So if you have that really powerful, like I've done this for 12 years, I honestly, a failure, I'm like, oh, cool. Like, where do we go next with this? Just because you're used to it, you just deflect it. So I think that's going to be really powerful because it's going to give you the resilience to just keep working our way at the problem. So I think that's great to see. I think just, I think the one thing to improve upon moving forward is it's your second point, when it came to product strategy and business strategy, just going to that advanced level, like being extremely, like already having thought by week 4 about, okay, like long-term defensibility, revenue models, can we actually make this profitable? And that's just quite simply experience. So that's no criticism. It's just like, as you've said, go back and look at the videos on revenue models, on finance. There's loads of bonus videos on this stuff, by the way, on the platform. Product strategy, right? There's advanced product strategy videos around defensibility, these kind of things. So I think it's just going back over time, trying to integrate it, maybe taking time to say, this week I'm going to look into the finance 101 video and then try and put it into practice in some way. I'm just taking you up that level, and then obviously you start using it more in your day-to-day work. But generally, as I said, really good foundation. You've got the right mindset as well, which is awesome to see. And I think now is really trying to break out of product ownership into being respected as a product leader. Any
Awesome.
sort of final comments or thoughts from you, Lukasz, before we wrap up?
I think I missed like only one thing in Prod MBA. That I'm not saying that you should add, but I'm going to also explore this area, is actually how to convince to all of these things other people, like even product owners, but mainly like founders, managers, anyone. I partly know how to do that. Of course, you should show that maybe it works somewhere. Maybe there are examples. Maybe there are some companies on the market that did the same, and you have some case studies. I have my own case study, but definitely like building the good narrative, like 5-minute pitch or deck that I can prove, like, come on, this is how we should do that. Otherwise, this and this can happen. Have these examples so that I can present like anytime in the middle of the night to the manager that, come on, we should do this. This is the good approach.
It is a good idea, actually. Some nice playbook. Honestly, my advice would be take this, so you can download all of the slides and just follow this simple format of like, what is the topic? Why is it important? And how do we do it? Which I generally try to follow. And then if you sort of customize a bit, then I think that's a good place to start, as well as the case study more broadly. But that is a nice idea. Just some simple slide books for it. I will bear that in mind. Awesome. Well, Lukasz, thank you again for joining. Again, some people are great to work with on Prod MBA. I think you're one of them. Like, always putting the work in, showing up, clearly learning. So I think it's great to have had you on board. And we'll stay in touch. Stay in touch, part of the community. Like, keep posting, interacting with people as well. That network's really important. And any questions ever, just reach out to me. I'm honestly always happy to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lukasz. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.